Hey everybody, Mitch here. Now, today's video is a little bit different. I wanted to talk about something that's not quite what I normally talk about in videos, but is just as important. And it's the idea of time management. Now, we all, as content creators, as streamers, we all have things that we have to do other than content creation. Believe me, if I could wake up every day and just make videos from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. and even into the nighttime, I probably would. But I have a full time job that I have to deal with. I have a family that needs my attention. I have to eat. I have other errands that I do in order to properly adult in most of the situations that I'm in. How can I take the time that I have, spread it out to where it's used a little more wisely, and organize it in a way that makes it to where anybody and everybody can get the most out of the hours that they have during the week? Now, I never claim to be an organized person, but I definitely try to play one on YouTube. So what we're going to do is talk about some of the techniques that I use during my week to make sure that all of those things get done. If you enjoyed this video and it's helpful to you, make sure to click the like button on the video and subscribe to the channel. Follow it and make sure to ring the bell, that way you know exactly when we go live with other videos. We try to release shorts every now and then from our Twitch streams, and the Twitch streams happen every Thursday, Friday, and Saturday on twitch.tv/commander_Mitchcraft. Hopefully we'll see you there, and if you have things you want to talk about, those are the best places to talk to me live about it. There's two ways that I recommend that you go about this. Number one, you want to organize your time and make sure that you get the most out of the hours that you have. And then number two, you want to use that time wisely and make sure that you're getting the most out of the time that you've organized. First and foremost is I recommend you take the one focus that you want to have and make sure that everything else is structured around it. If you're streaming, that's probably going to be the days that you stream. If you're making YouTube channels, it's the days where you're actively working on your YouTube content. What I like to do is I like to actually have a daily focus. And so on Mondays, I will write the scripts for my videos. On Tuesdays, I usually end up recording them, and that leaves Wednesdays and Thursdays for editing the videos. And Friday is when the video goes live. But you may want to do something different. If you're streaming, it might look way different for you, and that's okay. But what you want to do is you want to make sure that you have a daily focus set. And some days can be the same as others, but you ultimately want to make sure that you've got a theme set for the day so that you know exactly what tasks you need to do to get stuff done. Now, a lot of times when you think about streaming on Twitch, you think going live is the most important part. And arguably, it's probably the most active part of being a content creator, but there are definitely other things that you have to do to have your stream be successful. Actually, there's probably three different types of times or task blocks or whatever you want to call them, where you're going to be doing different types of work in order to prepare yourself or mentally relax to get the things done that you need to. The first one is what I like to call prime time, and that's where you're actively live and streaming. If you're making YouTube videos, this is the part where you're actively doing things in order to get your YouTube videos ready to publish on YouTube. Now, those prime time segments are probably going to be the most important things to you, but hold off before you give them the importance just yet, because there's definitely things that we want to talk about otherwise. Other than the primetime things, there are also what I like to call halftime things. It's just like a football game, right? During halftime, everybody goes back into the locker room and they talk strategy. They talk about how the game's going, and they talk about the things that they could do or do differently in order to make the game happen better. And those are going to be meta tasks or things that logistically help you when you're doing your primetime tasks. If you're a streamer, this is probably where you're making clips in order to share onto social media, or maybe you're out on social media promoting your stream. That sort of thing doesn't happen when you're live, and so you want to make sure that you make the most of the time where you're not live just as much as you are making the time of when you're live. And finally, you've got downtime. And downtimes are non-work related things. Let me stress the importance of this. They are not work related. They are things that you do to rest and rejuvenate yourself. For me, it's getting outdoors, going on a hike, cooking a good meal, relaxing, something like that that makes it to where I can take my mind off of everything, and come back rested and rejuvenated and ready to do it all over again. Now, you want to make sure you have a nice, healthy mix. Obviously, you don't want to be doing too much downtime or nothing gets done. But you also want to make sure that you're not doing too much prime time, because otherwise you have no time to plan those times around and get logistics set up to make sure that you succeed. So you want to have a nice, healthy balance of all of that. While you're planning these prime time and halftime and downtime tasks, yes, you want to schedule your downtime if you can. That way you make sure that you take it. You want to also make sure that you're keeping the tasks that you do in similar blocks. And this is called batching and blocking. Batching tasks mean that if you have to edit videos, that you're trying to find a time block on a specific day to edit all of those videos at the same time. Because if you try to do your script one day and then go straight into editing it, and then you've got to go back and do this other thing, you're actually expending mental energy trying to go back and forth between each task. Whereas if you're editing one video, chances are you're going to be in a flow and you're going to be able to edit 2, 3, 4, 5 videos just in the same amount of time that you would be editing one and bouncing back and forth. If you need to write multiple scripts, write them all on the same day. If you need to plan your Twitch streams out, plan them all at once and stagger them out for the next couple of streaming sessions. That way you at least know what you're getting into and you're not expending the mental energy to try and switch back and forth between the tasks. Now, once you've batched them together and figured out which tasks you need to group together, you want to set time blocks aside on your calendar. The best thing that you can do for yourself is what Michael Hyatt calls setting an ideal week. So you basically have your schedule set ahead of time. Now, it's not set in stone, and if you need to change it, you can, but at least you have an idea of what you're getting into each week, and you can plan your appointments and streams and content creation around anything else that has to be done. Click the link if you want to see. There's one in the description, and you can learn all about the ideal week and get a template straight from Michael Hyatt himself. Once you've organized your time, you want to make sure that you're using that time wisely. It's just like budgeting money. If you spend your money irrationally, then you're going to get less return out of it than if you were to spend it wisely. And so what I want to do is give you some techniques that you can use to make the most out of the time that you've scheduled. If you're like me and you have a challenge of sticking to a certain task, the best thing that you can do is what's called the Pomodoro Method. Anybody ever seen one of those little kitchen timers that looks like a tomato? That's a Pomodoro timer. And a Pomodoro is actually a type of tomato. And it was based on the creator of this system's use of that little timer. Now, we have digital timers that we can use, but the concept still remains the same. Pick your task and set a timer for anywhere from 25 to 45 minutes. And then work on your task nonstop. No distractions, no slacking off. Just throw yourself at the task and get as much done of it as you can. Once your timer is up, immediately stand up, take a 5-minute break, sit back down, set another timer, and do it again. Now, after 2 or 3 of these work sessions, make sure that you take a longer break, maybe half an hour to an hour. But if you do that, then you're forcing yourself to sit down to expend as much energy as you can on the task at hand and ultimately be successful as you start to get into a rhythm and a flow with doing the task. And you don't get burnt out because you're taking regular breaks. One thing that always helps me out too is the 2-minute rule. And it basically means that if there's something that I know that's going to take me 2 minutes or less, I'm going to just knock it out. Because I spend more mental energy worrying about those small tasks than I do actually that it would take to do the task and get it over with. I like to actually take a couple of those and get them done first thing in the morning and snowball those quick wins into getting other things done during the day. Because once you've knocked 2 or 3 things off of your to-do list, everything else that you want to do seems a lot less daunting at the time. Finally, if you're having trouble prioritizing which tasks that you need to do, you can use something called the Eisenhower Matrix. And if it sounds like it was made by President Eisenhower, it was. He had a way to delegate the things that he needed to into one of 4 different quadrants: urgent, not urgent, important, and not important. And depending on where the task fell, that's how he would determine the action that he took toward that task. If something was urgent and important, it got done as immediately as he could do it. If something was important but not necessarily urgent, he would write it down on his schedule to make sure that he actively got to that task sometime that day or within the next day or two. If something was urgent but not important, he always asked himself, is there somebody else that could do this for me? And we'll talk about this in just a moment, delegating tasks to other people. Finally, if something was not urgent and not important, you have to ask yourself, why are you even doing it? Think to yourself whether or not you even need to bother with these not urgent, not important tasks. And if you can get rid of them, do so, either cutting them out completely or finding someone, again, that could do the task for you that maybe shares their love of that task with your hatred of that task. So some people like to do the things that you don't like to do, and it's worth finding those partnerships in order to be able to delegate out the work that you can't do. Now, in order to do that, you want to make sure that you yourself have set an hourly rate that you are comfortable giving up. If that's the hourly rate that you make, that's fine. Make sure you're obviously paying someone what they're worth, but also don't hire someone if it's not within your means to do so. We want to make sure that everybody wins in this arrangement. And if you're offering little to no money, nobody's going to take the job anyway. But at the same time, you want to make sure you're not going hungry just because you don't want to do these tasks. If you find something that works and you find a comfortable zone, put a job posting up or something on Fiverr or similar sites to find people to delegate these tasks to. If you're wanting something a little larger and you have a budget for it, you could also talk about an executive assistant, but a lot of us aren't there yet, and that's okay. Basically, find ways to take the work that is tedious or draining to you, like video editing or copywriting or things of that nature, and take it and give it to somebody who's passionate about that sort of thing. And chances are, everybody's going to get things done faster, and it'll be a win for all people involved. So, to better manage your time, you want to make sure that you organize your time into blocks and batch your tasks together, and make sure that you're organizing it into prime time, half time, and downtime tasks. And once you've prioritized it, make sure that you're using a system like the Pomodoro Method to keep yourself on task and that you're not wasting the time that you've been given. Try to avoid procrastination when you can and just get all of those little tasks out of the way early. Find a way to delegate the tasks that are not urgent but important to someone that can take care of it for you. Get the urgent, important tasks done first, and then schedule the not urgent and important tasks for later. And ultimately, see if there's things that you're doing that you can just put by the wayside because they don't provide any value to what you're doing. Now, again, this sounds like it's flipping a lot of the things you've heard on its head, that you want to make sure that you're grinding it out, and the grind is real, and the grind is what gets you to be popular and famous as a streamer, and that's just not the case. We all have things that we need to be doing that are benefiting our content, that are not creating content. Hopefully this video helped you out quite a bit. If you liked it, make sure to hit the like button on the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell. That way you know when new videos are coming out. And again, if you're here on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, check me out on my Twitch channel. Let's talk about this kind of stuff. Tell me about your favorite time management methods. That way we can all be more productive and better content creators. So y'all take care, and I'll see you later. Bye-bye.